Hi, what's up? It's me, Karen, your favorite booktuber. I don't really like my hair. Today we're here to do the Booker 2024 prediction video. I wasn't going to do this, but then I was like hit with the bug. I don't know, contagion happened. Something happened and I am in it. I am here. I have my Booker dozen, which just so happens to be 13 books. I've thought long and hard on this and I'm excited for Owen to watch this video and tell me whether or not I've passed or failed. I also want to say the main criteria for whether or not a book is eligible for Booker is if it is published in the UK between the dates of, and I bet you I'm gonna fuck up the dates and then it's gonna be like, you're obviously wrong, but I'm not because I wrote everything down on a list. The book needs to be published in the UK between October 1st, 2023 and September 30th, 2024. With all that having been said, I think I have a good list. It actually makes me really excited and I'm very enthusiastic about my list. I think we can have lots of great themes popping up around these books. These books are definitely in dialogue together. They are conversing and I think it would make for an exciting long list. And I kind of want to read most of these books anyway, or I already have read some of them. Okay. All of that having been said, the first book on the docket, we have James by Percival Everett. This is a wonderful, fabulous, fantastic book. I highly recommend it. Percival Everett was recently longlisted for The Trees, and I think James kind of is stronger than The Trees and would make for a great addition into the long list. If you don't know, James is a modern retelling of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, in which we center Jim and his perspective, his narrative, and it is a novel that is quite powerful, forceful, really moves you along. And why I think Percival Everett is a really exceptional writer to read is that he plays with dialogue so well. He really uses, in the arsenal of different writing tools that one can have, dialogue is his heavy hitter and the one that gets a lot of impact. And it's important because I think as an author, Percival Everett is someone who's really interested in language. Obviously, I think a lot of writers probably are, but the ways in which language and words can mean certain things are ways of showing power. And so you'll see that Jim and the Black characters in this novel do a lot of code switching and primarily using language as their mode to do this. And this is really a story about anger and rage and slavery and just personhood. The next book on my list is The Extinction of Irina Ray by Jennifer Croft. This novel, very funny, very fun. This is the story of 8 or 9 translators who all pull up to an isolated Polish village in order to translate the latest, greatest, bestest novel of their beloved author, except the thing is, beloved author is acting up and then after the first day, she just disappears, puff, she's gone, she's out of there. And these kids are spiraling. There's some romance in there. There's a lot of humor. It is very meta, self-referential, humorous. I do think you just have to be down for the ride. It's very wild. And I think what would be so great about if this was longlisted is that Jennifer Croft was the translator for Books of Jacob by Olga T. And I think that let's get her on this list. Okay, after that we have Praiseworthy by Alexa Ritt. Now the next 11 books that we're going to discuss, I've not read these, so I don't really have a lot to tell you guys, but whatever, it is what it is. Praiseworthy by Alexa Ritt is a story about donkeys in Australia. I don't know. It's more than that, but that's kind of all I really know about it. I know that the Disco King recently did a video about it and all my friends are reading it, and in this regards, I am jumping into that bandwagon. I don't know. I'm jumping and reading this book, so stay tuned for more. I feel a little stressful that I just proclaimed that I'm gonna read this book because it's quite large. It's 600 pages. And previously when I was thinking about this video and I was making jokes in my head, yeah, I was all the best books have a donkey in them. And that's why I think Praiseworthy should be on the long list. Anyways, the next book we have is Hagstone. This is a phenomenal cover. Such a great cover. Am I right? Yeah, I am. Anyway, so this is a story about a woman, an artist, living in an isolated little island situation, something to do with Ireland. And it's about women artists in Ireland, isolation, the sea. There's this weird summoning sound that's the ocean makes or the island makes. And I don't know, I just think this is giving big, strong colony vibes, which was shortlisted 2 years ago or longlisted. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, I think this book seems like a lot of fun. The next book that we have is Ghost Mountain. I think this is also another great cover. This is I don't know, a mountain just shows up randomly, and this book has like a fable-like quality, and that's why I think it could be fun. Next up, we have The Echoes by Evie Wyld. Now, I think whoever named Evie Wyld, they knew what they were doing, because that is an author name if I've ever seen one. Evie Wyld. That's a good one. So this is a story of also Australia. Australia is big in my long list for some reason. So Max and what is the woman's name? Max and Hannah are dating. Hannah dies. Max and Hannah are dating. Max dies, and his ghost is like looking at Hannah and realizing like, wow, Hannah did so much for me, and also there was more to her than what I presumed, and he's learning about Hannah. And Hannah is from Australia, and she's running from her past. The story takes place in London. After that, we switch gears and we talk about The Cemetery of Untold Stories. This is a book about storytelling. Our protagonist is an author who's like, I don't know, sick of telling stories, so she goes to the Dominican Republic, she buys a piece of land, and in the backyard she starts burying all of her manuscripts and her stories. But these guys, they don't want to go to sleep, so then the ghost-like characters appear to the caretaker of the house and are like telling them their stories. And I think it just seems like one of those books that's going to be talking about craft and the nature of storytelling or whatever, and I think that seems very Booker-esque. After that, we have Spoiled Creatures by Amy Twigg. This is another one of those women alone, isolated kind of stories. This is about Iris, who is newly single and living at home with her mother, and she meets this mysterious Hazel who's living in a commune. Maybe this is a little too similar to Hagstone. I mean, not quite, but ish. But I do think those books would be working in dialogue very nicely. After that, we have Girls by Christy Capes. And this is a story of two sisters, Maddie and Nora, and they're off on their little road trip. And what was that? They are off on their own little road trip down the U.S. and they're like thinking about their mother. And I think their mother was an artist, and like her identity and who she was and what does it mean to be an artist and all that baloney that comes up when you're talking about artists. After that, we have Rosarita by Anita Desai. We have a story of a woman who's in Mexico, and she's like sitting there on the bench thinking about how great it is to be there, not knowing anyone. And this woman comes up and she's like, "You look like my mother." And she's like, "Whoa, that's a weird thing to say." But then it turns out that, I guess, I don't know, her mother was also in Mexico being an artist, and it's weird for her to contend with that because she thought that that was not who her mother was. So that's what I think that story's about. After that, we have Elma, which I really don't like this cover, but it is what it is. And this kind of starts off 1951, Singapore. 10-year-old Josephina kills her abuser, and this is the story of Josephina, the grandmother, her daughter, and the granddaughter, and one of those multi-generational situations. Also, Australia and other places where the diaspora hangs out is in this. Then the final book on my long list prediction video is Our London Lives, which is a story of two Irish outsiders who were in London trying to make things work. It's 1979. That's it. That's my video. I'm sorry, this is a bit rushed. I don't feel good. Yeah. Anyways, I'm just so jazzed though that I wanted to do this video, and I wanted to like get it out and get it out there because we are like very shortly gonna find out the long list in about like 18, 17, 16 days, something like that. And yeah, let me know what you think is going to be long listed. Thematically, I don't know if you can pick up on this, we're getting big Ireland vibes, big Australia vibes, women, artists, craft, motherhood. Those are the themes. Okay, talk later.